Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I am one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts,
Arch-Lector George,
and Harrison, Leodeptus Historical.
We continue our coverage of the Age of Madness trilogy with A Little Hatred, and we cover A Sea of Business, Fencing with Father. So let's get started. As usual, folks, you know the deal. Got to thank you for your support. We had a good week of listens. I think, George, you were telling me earlier.
Oh yeah, fucking 300 listens in 2 days.
Fucking love that.
I mean, that might not sound like a lot, for podcasts in general, but we were actually honest about it. Like, I could just say, we got 500,000 yesterday, but I've been lying.
I mean, guys, we got 500,000. Put that on the thumbnail.
Oh my god, with our faces on it, oh my god. Oh man. But, this is our usual call to arms. If you haven't subscribed to this podcast, please do. Or subscribe to our YouTube page. Follow us on our social media platforms. Just engage with us. We love it. But we do love just this nice little community that we've built. You all are so great.
And
you guys are the real heroes.
The real heroes, indeed. In fact, the newest Spotify comment which is from the Bloody Niner, which is an appreciation for my comment about bugs on a previous episode, which is it's nothing to laugh about. People die of those bugs, which apparently people found funny. It was not intentional. That is true.
It was truly a PSA on George's behalf.
because the majority of our audience are Americans, and I can guarantee almost no Americans are like, box. Yeah, right.
Meanwhile,
fucking build a bridge over it, you moron. Fucking drain the swamp, you idiot.
George is about to put out the hashtag beware of bogs.
Exactly, yeah.
Love it. All right. So just continue giving us your support, and we will continue loving you. So let's move on to our next segment, which is, brief community interaction segment. We have a few more chapters left, I think, for the Little Hatred memeing every chapter soiree.
Still half a fucking book left. Get out of there.
Okay, more than a few then. So get up in there, folks. I swear to God, if I don't start seeing more participation, I'm sending George after you.
I think we are hypocrites, though, because none of us three have signed up for any of them. So
this is very true. This is very true. We are hypocrites.
Jeffrey, you need to use other incentives. You need to maybe instead of being hateful, Jeffrey, maybe you should be like, I'll send nudes.
Ooh, maybe I will send nudes. You
guys won't be able to see anything because of all the hair you have on your body. So
I know exactly. It'd be like he's wearing a jumper.
Yeah,
I'll do a boudoir shoot in the forest.
It basically, you know how like when a bear stands up, you're like, that's what Jeffrey looks like.
Basically.
Do you like the e-girl thing? Send them some of your back hair.
Do you what?
Yeah, fucking laminate.
Shave off some of your back hair and send it to them in an envelope.
Yeah, I could donate. I could donate enough to make a sweater. So
there we go. George and I are now pimps.
I see.
We're just continually shaving Jeff just to
pimping me out. Pimping me out. Oh man,
these server cost a lot of money. Come on, guys.
Oh man. All right. Well, we'll move on to our first chapter read through, folks. This is A Sea of Business, and this is from our girl Savine's POV. And
I want to do the Kern's pick intro. Sorry, though.
Do it.
Go ahead, do it.
Welcome all, one and all, to this 13th biannual meeting of Adua's Solar Society.
Wow, yay!
With thanks to our distinguished patrons, Lady R.D. and her daughter, Lady Savine Glokta.
Oh, here.
Tally-ho!
We never dreamed when 9 of us first met in Lady Savine's parlor that only 8 years later, Solar Society would have more than 400 members throughout the Union and beyond. We are living in bold new times.
You gotta say the line.
Times when only the lazy need be poor.
clip that.
only the small-minded need be dissatisfied. Times when only the world can be changed by ingenuity and endeavor of a single man. Sorry, did I get a little bit authoritarian there?
No,
No,
you
love it,
turned
love
into,
it.
you turned
One of
into
my
Elon
points.
Musk. It's not your.
Do you want to complete
Oh,
the address?
is Kern's big Elon Musk?
Or he's
Oh
Jeff
my God,
Bezos.
let's
or
not.
the
Let's
other.
not. Well, do you want to complete the rest of the address?
No, so the point is basically, this isn't an industrialist heaven, isn't it?
Yep, it's the beginning of a new age here in
It is.
Agua, aka the Union. So he talks. Kernsvik goes on to compliment Dietem Dan Court, who we last saw was getting bent over a barrel by Savine in terms of ownership of shares or what have you. And but apparently that just completed a bridge the other day that or yesterday
Made
that will
entirely of iron.
Mock you.
mock you. That will bring
Kurzweil
a
has
canal.
a very good voice for Pacey inside of.
Oh, excellent! I love the
Love it.
slightly German accent. It's very nice for Kenswick.
Yes.
Love it, love it. So he goes on to kind of like obviously during this address of all these people, he compliments their initiative, the progress that they've undertaken. And the funny thing is like if you listen to Kernsvik speak, right? He's talking about the advancement and prosperity of society for all, right? How like no one's going to be poor unless you're lazy. But we just saw certain conditions in certain areas. They're not necessarily reaping the benefits.
Yeah, some of the most hardworking people of all time are still poor. How does that work?
Same way it works now, boys. Same way it works now.
Mm.
I do like this like Joe obviously mirroring contemporary I guess you could say topics or issues where
Absolutely.
Kernsvik does where he says with it will come boundless access to raw materials, will come new industry and new commerce, will come better jobs and better goods and better lives for the masses, will come prosperity for all. Now he's not necessarily like
But
It's not
that
necessarily
has
wrong.
always ostensibly been the point, though.
right.
Like,
Right.
whenever it comes to PR relations, you're talking to the people. Like, yeah, no, it's good for everyone. Isn't it?
I do think George. I do
Well,
think
I
Kernsvik
think
being
Kern-
genuine.
He's
We'll
being
get on to
genuine.
Kernspik in particular later. But
Yeah, we
Yeah.
will.
the mood of everybody in the room at this point is that everybody is out to, if not further their own ego, then further their own interests.
That's true.
Especially Savine. Savine is for both.
Yeah.
I think first.
I think you're right. I think they're all industrialists, but like any ideology or way of thinking or how you think society should be formed, the problem is the human element. Fascism should work on paper for certain things if it wasn't fucking ran by human beings.
Sure.
Same thing for communism. Same thing for capitalism,
But
which is also not working right now. So like
That's the thing that I find very interesting about this universe that Joe, especially the Union in Joe's universe, is that it's a world that doesn't have an ideology.
yeah.
Like the people in the Union do not have any sort of higher ideal that they keep to, other than we're civilized and everybody else isn't.
Right. I guess you could say that in the original trilogy, it was more about the aristocracy, but now, especially since like bias has come back into the picture after the original trilogy, it's full on commerce, right?
But like unlike the real world, there's no tethers of tradition or religion.
Yeah,
or anything like that.
it's very
So it is literally, and hence why, and well, we're going to skip over a few pages here, but so this whole thing is based on an actual, the Solar Society is based on a real group called the Lunar Society, which is based in from 1750 to 1850, and it's a very similar sort of thing. A group of people that come together to try and solve problems ostensibly for the greater good, but also all ended up very rich in the meantime, including a couple of names here. I'm not even reading, but we've got Joseph Priestley, who discovered oxygen.
That's not possible, where I'm breathing it right now.
Sorry, he was the first person to put oxygen in a container and go, yeah, that's oxygen. So very clever. You know, there's lots of very, very, very clever people, including James Watt, who I think is a direct correlation to Kernsburg because he invented, or at least perfected, a steam engine that can be used for industrial purposes. So yeah.
Do you think that Joe modeled it after the society? It seems like it.
Most likely. I mean, Lunar Society, Solar Society, you know, it's fairly on the nose.
Yeah.
I think a lot of, you know, like I said a couple of episodes ago, with the Luddites and the Breakers, it's very obvious that it's a direct correlation. Which is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with using similar ideas if you're going to do something different with it, or at least explore character-wise.
It's interesting too because a lot of people Joe uses a lot of he uses big themes, of course, right? Like as he will with like revolution, the great change. But he also does a lot of smaller stuff, like you said, like this society. I didn't know about that Lunar Society. That's pretty cool. I mean,
I will say, by the way, I did not come up with that. If somebody's listening, Slurv of the Discord, our Discord, found that a little while ago. So I didn't discover that by myself. I did not. I cannot take credit.
Slurv is one of our smartest listeners. He like comes up with the most insane shit. You're like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that guy's a mentor. So you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and so like getting back talking about the chapter itself, obviously, they're going to be doing this address where they invite their inventors to come up and speak, et cetera, et cetera. They even have Aaron Horn. I'm sorry, Caspar, Dan Aaron Horn on the application of the current.
Did you say Caspa? Oh my God! It must be the same Caspa.
Caspar.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
Is it a different kind of Casper?
Lieutenant Casper from the
I've only listened to the audiobooks for Age of Madness. So
no, just from the original, the homies, Giselle, West, Brent, Casper.
Yes, but it's his first name, not his last name.
Right, that's right.
There's Casper Dan, not something Dan.
No, you're right.
Good point. I stand correct.
That is historical, man. You are batting 0.
Well, he's just pointed out that names reoccur in the first.
That's the main thing. That's the main thing.
But this is not even the same name. This is not the same name, and you are stuck on that Casimir thing. Get over it. Jesus Christ. This guy, Aaron Horn, is it's going to talk about the application of the Kernsburg engine to the pumping of water from iron mines, which isn't whatever. Savine doesn't even stay to listen to this. She leaves and I guess goes to a certain like a large gallery, a large meeting room where investors and inventors will kind of like mingle, these industrialists, right? And she's with Zuri because Zuri is always, by her side at this point. And she, for her, Savine's work, she's best at, obviously people are trying to curry favor with Savine in order for her to invest in their projects, in their firms, in their companies, things like that. And, for her, the battlefield or a sea of business is this, which she mentions.
It's all social, isn't it?
It's all social. And
I love this little description as well. Like, the lightest smile brings like tears to their eyes, and also the slightest frown does as well, but in a slightly different way.
Yeah, all with that fan that she had.
Yeah, and the snap of the fan closes the argument, and that's it. And everybody knows, like, oh, that's it, it's over. Because it's sort of like signaling to everybody else in the room, not just the person that you're talking to. And I like that, the way that's very, very, very succinctly and quickly set up for Savine.
And we're getting this real like insight into Savine's, mindset. Pretty much everybody is beneath her. I wonder where she could have gotten this from. Oh. Not from her trueborn father.
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe.
Well, yeah, she's the daughter of both the king and the Archlector. So she's like literally the best person in the world.
She's the worst person.
I like this moment. The murmuring she hears going on. It's just like you have people being like, Coal is the future. We'll put coal in every household. And the next guy is like, copper. Copper's the future.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of hills. It's just raining copper out there.
Clocks, my lady. You cannot be blind to the opportunity. Please, clocks, my lady.
Yeah.
Quintuple. All I need is money.
And I do like to say that these 4 things that I mentioned are 4 things that are very, very important to the Industrial Revolution in general.
Yes.
So, yeah. That's a really good point.
That's funny. That's funny. And so, like, out of all these people that are trying to, get a moment of Savine's time, 2 people stand out. One is this young red wigged, because wigs are all the rage.
Yeah,
here.
everyone wears wigs.
This is kind of like 18th century fashion, and at least in America, and I guess the same in England, right?
It came from France originally.
France, okay. So
early 1650s, 1700s. That's when it first came about, and then it spread all throughout Europe and
petered out, but it petered out around the 1800s.
No, it still exists now, to be honest. Not for fashion, but for
no. But I'm talking about like fashion society. Like at least here, I know in America it petered out.
1850s, it really died out.
Yeah. Okay. So we have this young woman. Her name is Celeste
Dan Huygen.
Dan Huygen. And let's talk about Dan Huygen. We've seen a Dan Huygen before, right?
Yes, I think we have seen a Lord Huygen before.
Right? It was in the...
I think this is
Open Council.
One. Yes, one of the members of the Open Council that speaks up during one of the many arguments in the first trilogy is Huygen.
Yeah.
And this is not his cousin, but probably her son's cousin, or his son's cousin, or something like that.
That's your chance to redeem yourself. Can you please talk to us a little bit more about how
tell us about the Huygens.
Yeah, let us talk to us more about how we knew Dan Huygen from the original trilogy.
Yeah, Huygen's one of the three bigger ones.
Mm-hmm.
He's inside this trilogy too.
He's still alive, kicking.
Yeah, he's still alive, but she is like these noble families are pretty big, and I appreciate that too. Like, just because somebody has their last name doesn't necessarily they probably know about them. But as you remember, Gorst knew the Brocks. Gorst was a cousin of the Brocks, but he's not a Dan, even though he's a cousin.
No, he is.
So,
yeah, he is.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Dan Gorst. So, but still, his last name.
He's like a
minor nobility, right?
Yeah, splinter family off of the main family.
Right, and so she still has the last name, but as they say, like, she says it. She's like, I'm just, another member of the family, basically. She's like, I'm the second cousin. Like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like the fact that, we eventually know, I'm not getting into it now, but we do know that Celeste is out to, make a name for herself and make a name for the family. And she's coming across all coin now, which a lot of people fall for, but Savine is just like, oh, no, I see your game. I see you.
Yeah. She asked Savine for any advice on how to invest money that was left to her by her father. And Savine simply says, buy things that go up in value, as she turns away. And so then we meet the second person here. And this is somebody...
Lady Savine den Glockta! Never a moment of peace, eh?
Yeah. Yoru Sulfur makes his appearance. She notes, obviously, the different, colored eyes. He was unremarkable, but, tasteful restraint in terms of his attire.
And you reckon Baez picks his clothes out for him?
Maybe. And then he just introduces himself as like, I'm a member of the Order of Magi. And Savine was like, what? She was, because she had never come across this. And she's like, where the fuck is Zuri to kind of like to shepherd the cranks away?
Yeah, it's convenient that Zuri isn't there right now.
Yeah. We've talked about this, I think, right? How...
Yeah, she disappeared into another person who could know Ishri is there.
Yeah, it just...
And it's another thing. It's another thing that if you're not really thinking about it, you could completely miss that.
Right.
Like, Zuri isn't right there right now. It's fine,
Right, because you don't know who Zuri is. If you're reading Age of Madness for the first time, you don't really know until there's that reference about the bandages and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I reckon there's some before then, but yeah.
No, there wasn't. I mean, yeah, there's little hints, right, about
we'll see.
The religious teacher and everything. But
so she I like this conversation they have because, everybody's talking about like, oh, these projects in the future, and Yuri Silver's like, you want some money? Like, you want to partner up? I hear you're pretty popular. And she's like, well, I thought you were like, you had magic and stuff, bro. Like, why do you need money? And he's like, well, the Magi have always been interested in the way the world works. It used to be magic, now it's money. And I love this interaction they have because he like creeps her out the more he keeps talking to her.
Yeah, she kind of feels like weirdly put off. Yeah, because like so for like back in the day, I used to do magic, but these days, I like to think this is better. And he's like, okay. She's like, all right, and he goes, you should meet my master. I have a feeling the two of you would have a great deal in common. He is used to dealing with your father, of course, but no one lasts forever. And Sabine's like, what are you talking about? And then at that time, Kernsberg comes in.
I like how Yoru Sulfur is like this immortal wizard, but he just can't help dropping little hints here.
Yeah, I know.
Even though Baez is probably like, yeah, no, just keep it on the down low. He's just like being a bit sneaky,
Yeah. I don't know if I should talk. I was gonna say I don't know if I should talk about it now because I do have a problem, like especially obviously like after the end of this trilogy, with like the setup. Like,
okay,
all right. So you mean to tell me that Yoru Sulfur is there, and obviously has been watching, looking for Savine. So before he gets up to her, you're telling me he did not see Zuri?
He might, but he can't detect whether or not she's an eater. Maybe.
No,
the only person
that
can detect eaters is Yulwu.
Yeah, not even, but detect. I'm not talking about detect. See, if so, either
we
Zuri.
don't know if Yoru has seen Ishri before.
We know enough to know that Zuri had to. They've had to have run into each other. No, they have because remember,
or it could be the Superman effect.
In the heroes. Hold on. In the heroes, when Baez and Yoru talking, they're like Ishri, the East Wind or whatever, is here. That conniving bitch.
Oh,
remember?
no, yeah.
They know her.
No, that's Baez who says it though.
Yeah, but so does Yoru.
I always get the feeling that Yoru is a product of after the conflict. So like the Baez's side and Khalil's side before Last Argument Kings have never really like crossed paths.
I agree, but I actually have point of order.
Okay, I was gonna say one thing, and now Harrison, if I want to just let you take this, this feeling that I have, like this feels a little bit like, I don't want to say pigeonholed, like convenient writing, contrived convenient writing it still might be related to like, at least from my memory, how I didn't really like Wisdom of Crowd. So I'm in the ending of that. So maybe that I'll give that, but obviously this is me giving it a chance, but I'm just saying this did feel a little contrived looking back is what I'm saying.
That's good to bring up.
I think there's a couple of important things to think about. One, it doesn't matter whether they've seen each other or not. Why would Ishri even take the risk? Number two, Yoru Sulfur seems to be able to read minds. So like he's shown this to be a thing that he can do. He did it inside of. He does it inside of this. He did it
in the original trilogy. You're right.
He did it in the original trilogy. He can read fucking minds. So Ishri, as soon as she's on the lookout for him. Think about this too. She is actively looking for Yoru Sulfur but he is not actively looking for her. He doesn't know. So he'd have to.
She's an age. Okay.
He's on and be like, and she's all dressed up. She's dressed differently. She walks differently. She talks differently. So if he sees her, he'd have to like look her dead in the eye and be like, "Oh my God, that's fucking Ishri the East Wind." And even then, he wouldn't do anything immediately.
Right. Okay, I see what you mean too. Especially because like, okay, she's conscripted into service by Glokta and everything. That means she has to be aware that Baez and Yoru are going to be around. She's got to be on. Okay, that's better. I get that.
I like that your thought is that basically he sees somebody and it's just like as the maid. So basically, Yoru Sulfur is a racist.
Well, no, but I'm no.
I'm saying, why not?
He is from the old empire,
I'm going with what Harrison pointed out is that she has to be on the lookout for him. So the minute she sees him, she dips before he can see her. That's what I'm going.
That's what I was saying. It's the Superman effect, isn't it? If you see somebody completely acting differently and looking differently to the way you expect them to, they will completely pass you by. and especially in a room full of people.
Yeah. Okay.
He might be an immortal wizard, but he's not omniscient.
Okay. So, all right. So with that, then Kernsbik comes in to interrupts them, right? He says, "Oh, Sabine, what's up? You should have stayed." Anything, and then she goes, "Oh, by the way, here is," and she was about to introduce Yoru, but apparently he's vanished from the crowd. And then, then comes in Aaronhorn, and Aaronhorn rubs her the wrong way.
You old dog.
He rubs her the wrong way. He rubs Savine the wrong way.
Yes, he's awful, isn't he? He's terrible. Even though he's clearly a very gifted engineer that has some good ideas, he just turns around and goes, "Yes, this is why women should not be involved in business. It's terrible. You're just too emotional."
He says that after Savine kind of mistreated him here. So, like, maybe you guys can help me out here.
Are you defending a sex?
No, I'm not. No. Hold on.
So what's happening? He is ignoring the rules of the game. He hasn't realized that Savine and Kernsbeck are the top dogs here. Uh-huh. Even he has the first belling. No, but he has the first belling on the display to show the ideas, and he thinks that he can just skip the line and just walk up and go.
I agree.
Well,
and that's why Savine. I'm not defending.
No. Hold on. I think there is that doesn't come across in Savine's mind, her frame.
It doesn't. But
hold on.
With Joe Abercrombie characters, nobody ever states it intentionally what they think. Right? It's always
just hold on. It's right here. I'm explaining it to you. Jesus. Aaronhorn comes in. He goes. He looks at Savine. He knows who she is. That she's top billing. He says, "I understand you have invested in several iron mines in England. Indeed, I understand you are perhaps the largest single owner of the entire province." So immediately right after that, Savine, in her monologue, in her head, says she did not like her affairs being discussed before an audience. Winning made people friendly. Winning too much made them nervous. And then she goes, "I believe I have some interest there." And then he goes, "Oh, you should have heard my address." In this part, the main challenge and the efficiency, blah, 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 blah. She goes, in her head, there was sense in what he said, but Savine detested the way he said it. So,
but that's what I mean. When you say something like that, that completely invalidates all of your reasoning beforehand because it's an emotional response.
Right, but what I'm asking is, this doesn't necessarily have to do anything with him jumping the line. But apparently, in the audiobook, can you tell if he comes off a certain way? That voice, is it like a?
Yes, he is the most over the top.
He sounds like Polder.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, like Polder. So she kind of goes, that's not what interests me. It's more like soap, glass, crockery, things that were once luxuries for the noble class that have become essentials for the wealthy and soon be a staple for everyone. So that kind of stuff, basically disregarding him.
Yeah.
He gets mad. "You're making a mistake." And she goes, "Look, yeah, it's not my first. It would not be my first, and I will struggle on regardless." And then this is where he does what you said, George. One should never allow feelings to get in the way of profits. But at this point, Zuri had came back from the shadows and started to ease him away, but he refused. This only strengthens my conviction that there really is no place in business for women. So, anyway.
What a terrible, terrible thing to say.
Yeah. And then she does tell him, here you are with your begging bowl, but you cannot stop me buying or selling a thing. And then Kernsbeck goes, "Take care, my friend, before she chooses to buy and sell you."
I gotta say, I really do like this about Savine. That Savine is almost like a stereotypical girl boss Mary Sue character, but at the same time, she's so unlikable that it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Never, you watch a movie and there's this character, you're like, "Oh, that's supposed to be the girl boss," right? Mm-hmm. And then you think, what are characters that are actually quote unquote girl bosses or any other kind of stereotype? They are out there. They exist. She's one of them. She's an actual real girl boss. Everything she has here. And later in the series, she gets even better with it because she doesn't renounce her femininity later on.
Of course,
either.
But what I mean is that she doesn't have just positive aspects. She doesn't just smash the patriarchy and do that. But she's also, she buys into the same system and abuses people in the same way that people that she is trying to overtake do.
right, like as of
So
like
she isn't. She's not like some paragon of fucking morality.
right,
that
like what George is
beats
saying.
the system by being a good person. She's
Right,
just
What
playing the game, but does it better than everybody else.
yeah, to add
Which
to
is
George,
how you write very good female characters, because they're just fucking people.
right, which is what to add to what George is saying is that there isn't any really redeeming or endearing qualities about Savine. Not
What?
at this point. Not at this
I say
point.
that no. At this point, in the
I-
first three chapters, I don't agree.
I mean, no. What I mean to say is like we're talking about like not being a good person.
Oh, so yeah, no, I do agree.
That's what I mean. That in the context of that, that's what I mean.
Yes.
You know,
She
she's people gravitate like, and when I say people, I mean readers gravitate to Savine early on because of the the depth of the character there. But I'm saying, on the surface level, not a great person, not a great person at all, not so far,
not a great guy.
not a great guy.
Just like all of my characters.
Actually, you know what? Great guy. She's a great guy.
I like this interaction that she has with Kernspick.
Yeah.
Is like they're talking kind of they're sitting there, like you can tell that like they've been getting along for a long time.
Yeah, they
now,
have a relationship. Mm-hmm.
And like he kind of he's like, before Lady Savine chooses to sell you to, but he's like, whatever. Like you can take it, like he's trying to mentor her a little bit and be like, you could be a little nicer to him, he's got some good ideas. And she's like, nope. And she's like, all right, whatever. And then they look over and they see Celeste and Huygen walking around being like, hello, gentlemen. I have boobies and money. Yes. And Savine is like, that bitch picking up my leftovers. And Kernsberg is like, please, you're better than that.
What I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like how Kernsberg is like, you're better than that. I met you, I met you like, I think he says like 9 years ago, whatever. And he's like, I met you 9 years ago, and you were just the same thing. And she says, yeah, well, younger me was poison. And he's like, younger you was nectar, almost as much as you are now. And I just think he's really sweet,
he's really grown to like Savine.
Right, it's very like uncle like vibes, like he's just
Mm-hmm.
a kind uncle, and like they're in business together and they respect each other. It's nice. She says it too in just a minute that Kernsbick is super, super like nice and a genius, but he's kind of bad at social events, which is where she comes in. That's why they're such good partners.
But I do feel sorry, Jeff. I do feel like that Kernsbick is sort of like a transactional partner for Savine, like everybody else.
Probably
Kernsbick loves her so much. She is always like, if this guy wasn't useful, she probably wouldn't be.
Probably. And he does say.
I would say so. Other than the fact she has this line in this chapter 2 where they're like, don't you have a conscience? And she says, I do, but I keep it tightly under wraps. I think she says it in the chapter. Maybe it's the next one.
I don't remember that. I don't remember.
That is in a couple of chapters later, I think.
No, I think it. Anyways, she does care. She just puts business first. So I just think that I think you're right, but I think she also does care.
Right, but and Kernsberg, he does point out, he goes, the circle of the world is wide. You can allow someone else to occupy one little plot of it. And she begrudgingly agrees, like, okay, I suppose so. But then she adds on the caveat, as long as they're paying me rent, which is speaks to that mindset that Savine just right now is just fully embodying, right? Mm-hmm. Then they notice that there's a bit of a commotion. When I say commotion, people are partying. And turns out his august majesty, the high king of the union, Giselle Dan Luthar, or Dan something, because I don't know if he's still a Luthar anymore at this point. He Giselle Dan King. That's hilarious. Imagine that. That's hilarious. Apparently he's there, and he I guess he showed up late, but obviously with management of the realm, so on and so forth. And he goes, oh.
I like how Kernsbick's like, bloody hell, it's the bloody king.
Yeah. and then Savine is there, and she goes, and then Giselle is like, oh my God. He goes, Savine Dan Glocta, of course. It makes one very proud to see one subject showing such enterprise and determination. And I like this pickup from Savine, where she goes, he gave a strange little shake of his fist, so strong a gesture, so weakly delivered, And he Giselle goes on to say, "I've always admired people who make things." And
There's a gap there. It's like, who
make
things.
Yeah, and Savine, she's curtsying at this point, and she got used to. She says she's used to men staring at her. She learned to tolerate it, but the look the king was giving her was not the usual kind. There was something awfully sad behind his blandly handsome grin.
Which is funny because we don't. Does Giselle know that at the end?
We don't know, but it's very heavily implied right here that he knows. He must know.
He must know.
I mean, there's no way he doesn't know. That's the only reason. Guys, this is Giselle. The only goddamn reason he came to the Solar Society was to even have a chance to finally to get to meet Savine. That's the only reason he did this.
I don't know if that's the only reason he did to do this.
I still reckon Giselle and Glock are in cahoots here, but
No, but it still makes him incredibly sad.
It is incredibly sad. It's sad, and we get to see our boy Giselle for the first time as his first speaking line since Last Argument of the Kings.
No, since Best of Cold.
He didn't have any speaking lines in Best of Cold,
He did.
but he did appear. Oh no, he did. Yes, absolutely.
He does.
Yeah,
yes, my wife would be absolutely.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah,
About
that. So then,
this scene too is. This scene is great too because we have Giselle come in and his vibe is very, very regal. Everybody is like, "Oh God, it's the king." Like Savine talks about how, people say a lot of bad stuff about him, but say one thing for Giselle, damn Luthor, say he looks the part. Like she didn't say that, but that's the vibe of him, and I think that's really cool actually because. The look does matter, you know what I mean? And especially for his role.
That's why Baez picked him, isn't it?
That's exactly why Baez picked him. And I think it's admirable that he could have become like a Gustav type person. I know I've said it before, but man, I actually like this scene because you see him, it's like a parallel to the original trilogy. There's so many of those, even here. With her meeting Sulfur at like a big event, just like how Sulfur met Giselle. And then here comes the king. Here comes Gustav. At the height of your moment, everybody's looking at Savine. Everybody's looking at them. And Giselle is like, hi. And he's like about to cry. and Savine. But you know what? He is not like some weak, pathetic man, I don't think. I really don't think he is.
Right. No, I think he's the strongest he can be considering the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, a Night Herald comes up to whisper news about the North. So then Giselle has to make his excuse, his pardons and say, "Excuse me, I'm sorry, I gotta go." And Savine is, Savine is interested in learning more about it, so she tells Suri to find out what the Night Herald had to say. And that to make a note, she would like Caspar Dan Aronhorn to have troubles with his business in England. And I like how Ziri goes, rumors, regulations, or just no one answering his letters? And she goes, let's start with a bit of each and see how we go. So then that's pretty much the end of that chapter. Boys, how do you rate it?
I think this is an excellent chapter. I think it's very good. The back and forth, the whole background with all the industrialists and the sort of Solar Society, the interaction with Sulfur and Zuri disappearing, and then we have Giselle come in. There's so many things going on, and we get so much of Savine's character from it as well. I think I'm going to give this one a solid 8.
Like that. Okay, Harrison?
I was going to go with 7. I think the same thing, but yeah. I did want to point it to, I know I just talked about him, but this line that he says too, where he compliments her, and she goes, "Your Majesty is far too kind." And he goes, "Not kind enough." And she wondered if somehow he had found out about her and her son, her and his son, had Ursa let something slip. And he says, "With such young women to lead the way, the Union's future looks bright indeed." And that may go to George's credit on that one, that he does. I do think, I have always thought he was in cohorts with him, but maybe more in cahoots than I realized, because
what do you mean?
He's like,
so this is my theory that Giselle is in bed with Glockter in terms of making the great change happen.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think he is.
yeah. I
But
don't think it is. No.
I think too, though, like even if that's, but that it works either way. Because even if that's not the case, the fact that he's like just saying something so sweet to her, like he's like, no, 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 like I haven't done enough kindness to you. Like he feels guilty that he couldn't be her father, even though that wasn't really his
Well,
fault.
rightfully,
Kind of
she
was.
should be
Kind of was.
queen one
Yeah.
day. So she should be the heir to the throne, technically.
Yeah.
If he was a bastard, even though he wasn't technically the bastard of the previous king, but she should, in his mind, be the next queen. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I like to do best and split the difference between the two of you. I'm giving this a 7 and a knuckle. I really enjoyed the chapter. It's a good like deep dive into like how Savine is almost like I don't want to say at her best, but like in her zone, right? And just like how she's navigating the
Yeah.
the levels of society and
landscape business.
Yeah, the glad handing industrialist and everything. So 7 and a knuckle for me. Really enjoyed it.
I've never heard the word glad handing before. That's good.
Oh, well, thank you. So we'll move on to our next segment, which is our best meme of the week. Georgie boy, that's you. Take it away.
Yeah, so this week we have Secret Maximum 6350, which is another auto-generated name from Reddit, which is brilliant. And this is from, funnily enough, Jeff, you've actually just sent me a David Mitchell sketch earlier today. And this is from Peep Show, so it's Super Hands. And it's a charm. Well, it's hard to tell with Friendly. Don't get me wrong. He's a teddy bear, but he's a violent teddy bear.
Oh, that's funny.
And if anybody here, I don't know, most of our listenership is American. If you haven't seen Peep Show, you have to see Peep Show. It's very fucking funny. And if you like Joe Abercrombie's humor, right up your street. Okay.
We're also being sponsored by them, so make sure to go. Kidding.
Yeah, we are sponsored by a 10-year-old British TV show that's been off the air for God knows how long.
And I'm loving the comments on this one where more than one person has said that as an audiobook listener, they weren't aware of how to spell Sajam's name. And one of them goes, I thought his name was Sir Jam.
We went over that same thing. That's
yes,
so
we
funny.
did. We did that exact same joke.
I don't remember. We did that. We did that.
We did that.
Yes,
You're the one who brought it up,
we
Jeff.
did.
Jeff, you said Sir Jam as in Sir, like,
Like Sir
Jam.
Mix-a-Lot.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Holy shit. Oh man, that's a good one. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
So thank you very much for that, Secret Maximum.
Thank you for that. His name was Secret Maximum.
Secret Maximum 6350.
Love that. Love that. All right.
Probably
Well,
a bot.
thank you for that. So we'll move on to our final chapter read through, and this is Fencing with Father, the first one, because the next one is also called Fencing with Father, but that one we'll do next week. And this is from Orso's point of view. At first, he's woken up from his slumber, his romping with a lady of the night,
The local ladies.
the local ladies, by Tunny, who tells him that he is to, I guess, start fencing with his dad. Like that's their lesson, and also that there's news.
I think he's just being woken up for the news, not necessarily for the fencing. The fencing comes later.
Right, that's true. You're right. It's just the news to tell him that.
And you get the feeling that this is not a regular occurrence for Orso. He doesn't get woken up before the sun starts going down, which is, to be fair, me on the weekends. So I can completely understand this.
Tunny is the one doing it too. I think it's unusual as well. He's the one coming in. He's the one waking up. Maybe somebody was like, did somebody tell the prince yet? And they were like, no, we don't wake the prince up before noon or whatever. And he's like, I'm fucking waking him up. He goes in there, wakes him up. And, he's not waking him up to go fencing with father, but he does go.
There is news.
Yeah, he tells them news that, that Scale Ironhand has invaded the Protectorate and, they're falling back. And they burned Ufrith. But
and it is
also,
interesting that he does specifically wake him up for this, though.
Yeah.
It's almost like Tunny
knows.
But it wants better for Orso.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though he won't admit it.
I think there's a key distinction here, though, is that he's not waking up to go fencing with father either, because he thinks, oh my god, there's something I could do here. Maybe there's something I can do. There's this opportunity. He goes, wait a minute.
He actually has like that first spark of emotion after being a complete drunken sot for 10 years, doing cocaine and heroin and whatever fucking drugs they have. It was pearl dust and chaga and whatever, drinking too much and bagging whores every day, like fucking Frank Reynolds from Always Sunny. And then one day he's like, oh my god, I actually have this spark of meaning in my life. I can do this.
Yeah.
And I like this moment too, because he goes, this is a moment of him, this is a moment of like Orso's, I don't want to say capabilities because it seems too much, but like his notice and care, because he does say, where are my trousers? I have to see my father right away. Is it Monday? Tuesday. He'll be fencing. Then I'll see what then fetch my steals as well. Like he knows like what Tunney and him are close enough friends. It's very subtle that he knows what he's asking. He knows that he's trying to see his father, and he's trying to see it. And he's like, "What day is it? Monday? Well, it's actually Tuesday. Well, then he's fencing. So sweet. Let me get my fencing steals." Which implies that they've done it before, like they've gone fencing together, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so they tend to fence. Orso has actually been training more often than Giselle, I guess, it might be aware of. But they they do well, right? And even though Orso will let Giselle do a couple touch him with the jab, whatever. Although that's the next chapter.
With the jab or whatever.
Yeah.
He does say that, though. It's the jab.
Yeah. So Orso brings it up, right? He brings up the whole like information about the news of the invasion of the North. And he he asks him about, what are we going to do about the Northmen? And Giselle goes, we? And he goes, the close council. And he goes, they plan to do precisely nothing.
Of course. And Jeffrey, I know you're trying to get to the meat and potatoes. This is such a great line, though. It's a little before that. He's like, Giselle goes, oh, a little refreshment, offering wine. And Orso goes, I never drink before lunch. And they look at each other and they go, British rich person laugh. Great.
That is so funny.
That is funny. Yeah, they have a good relationship here. And I think you might have one of you two might have said it in the previous episode, but that like Orso has his own special relationship with his mom and his own special relationship with his dad, and you see this play out here. And Orso, like your point, George, about him feeling something, because obviously he's been like in this depressive state for quite some time, where he's like lacking meaning, lacking purpose, right? Yeah. And he's trying to. He gets upset that fact, the idea of like, hey, we're not even going to try to. That's our land. That's the Angland's part of the Union. There's the Protectorate with Ufrith. What's going on here? And Giselle has to tell him that like there is always going to be some kind of crisis, and it will always be the worst one ever. Not long ago we were terrified of the Gurkish, and with good reasons. Half of Adua was destroyed, driving them out. Now their great prophet Khalul has vanished. Their all-powerful Emperor Uthman is deposed, and their power has drifted apart like smoke on the breeze.
This is a really important plot point, by the way.
It is, and we will we'll learn more about that. And
we don't learn any more about that. That is it. That's all
no,
we know.
But there are whispers, right? I remember from what I remember.
We learned some other stuff, but we'll get to it.
Yeah. And so then he talks about how great powers can fall as well as rise. Like Mercado has almost all Asteria under her heel, and the old empire is growing back in strength, right? They're challenging the Union's hold on the far country and inciting more rebellion in Starkland. And now the Northmen broke the treaties and come to war again. So it seems like since the heroes, it's been pretty peaceful.
Other than those 3 wars in Syria.
I also feel like Bayaz's fake uprising We got Yoru to go in and just stir up trouble for a little bit, just so that Giselle can save the day. I feel like that had much more consequences than we see written down. Because it actually gets people to think like, oh, we've done this before and it worked, at least ostensibly. So maybe we can do it again, and that's kind of planted that seed. And the seed, the seeds of the past grow fruit in the future. That's like part of it.
Yeah. And he does reference that. Giselle goes that it's the enemies inside the borders that cost him sleep. The wars in Syria have left everyone out of pocket and out of patience. Thanks, Bias. Open Council keeps complaining. If the nobles didn't hate each other more than they hated him, they'd be in open rebellion. The peasants may have quieter voices, but they're every bit as dissatisfied. He faces disloyalty everywhere. And then Orso goes, then we must teach a sharp lesson, your majesty. A lesson delivered to the Northmen, but witnessed by your faithless subjects too. Show our allies we can be relied upon, and our enemies that we won't be trifled with. A clutch of victories, a couple of parades, and a dash of patriotic fervor. The very thing to bring the nation together.
I just want to say as well, just before that line, he blunders into a fake Magus' tower.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is a little bit of... Joe doesn't do like metaphorical stuff very often, but I feel like that's a yeah.
He blunders into a what?
So it says here he sidestepped the thrust and blundered into a bush clipped to look like the storybook Magus' tower.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like that might be him stumbling over Byers' plans.
Interesting. I like that. Okay.
I think so too, because both this chapter and the next one lay out Orso's and Savine's this book arc excellently. It literally correlates almost exactly, which is insane. Like really, really good storytelling. But I also think too that some of that stuff is Joe's getting really good at. He did it in the last chapter too. He's gotten so good at expositing without direct exposition, other than whenever he's directly telling Orso what's going on in the South. Because he drinks the wine. He's like, "Ooh, that's an Osprian. Ah, man, I wish we had conquered Austria now." He's there's all those little lines I think too. So that's part of it. It's like even the lawn is formatted in this mythology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Giselle talks about how the arguments that Orso's giving him are the same arguments he gave to the closed council, but the coffers are simply quite empty. There's nothing he can do, even though. And then Orso's like, "But you're the High King of the Union." He goes, "My boy, one day you'll understand. The more powerful you are, the less you can really do about anything." And then some more fencing here.
Well, you should just say more fencing, but this part's funny. He's like, "There's just nothing we can do," and lets the tip of his sword droop down, and Orso's like, "Clearly, this is a feint."
Yeah, a ruse. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
he knows his father so well. He's like, oh no, he lets his he lets his leading leg twitch a little bit when he when he goes for a strike. I think that's so cool the way that also, and like you said, Jeff, that him also and Giselle have a really good relationship, or at least that we see. Obviously, Giselle probably doesn't know the details of what Orso is up to in his spare time, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. That's part of it. There's a lot of Giselle absentness inside of his character that we see.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because Orso gives into the ruse, and Giselle gets him, and he's like, "Nothing like a bit of self-pity to bring the hothead in," which is actually really good because again, it's laying that stuff out. That is something that Orso, not directly he learns this lesson, no, but that's something Orso does to Leo later on. Feigns. He feigns "Yo, I'm so weak, help me," and then fucking blows him up. So
always look weaker than you are, right?
Yes, always look weaker than you are. He says, "Life in the old dog, eh?" That's what Giselle says. And he's like, "Fortunately, I think we can both agree I'm not quite ready to take the throne." And he goes, "No one ever is, my boy. Why are you so interested in the expedition anyways?" And I think that little throwaway line is really good too, because he wasn't ready.
No, he wasn't.
He's speaking from experience, genuinely.
Yeah.
I mean, I just read that line in Last Argument of Kings, when they're in the open council, and it's like, and the bastard son of Guslav is Giselle Dan Luthar. And Giselle's just stood there like, what the fuck's going on here?
It was funny.
Me?
And Orso tells Giselle that he wants to lead the expedition. And he wants to, because Orso wants to contribute, to do something other than Horse's purses, right? He makes a joke. Giselle makes a joke about the last body of soldiers he led was that toy regiment that the governor of Starkland sent him when he was 5 years old. And he should gain some experience because he's the heir to the throne, right? And he wants to mend his reputation because he feels like the poor thing's in a wretched state. And then Giselle goes, worried that this young lion will steal all the glory, eh? And
I like also is even thinking like, oh, that's a name I've heard too many times already.
Yeah.
Just like us.
So then Giselle goes, but fighting? I don't know. The Northmen, they don't fool about when it comes to bloodshed. I could tell you some stories about my old friend Logan Ninefingers. And Orso goes, you have
Father, hundreds
of times. Well, they're bloody good stories. So he goes, oh, you really want this, don't you? And Orso goes, yes, we have to do something. And he goes, all right. And then obviously, Giselle springs forward, and Orso is ready. And, they're obviously, still sparring. But he goes, how about this? I'll give you Gorst, 20 Knights of the Body, and a battalion of the King's Own. And Orso goes, that's nowhere near enough. But go ahead, Harrison.
By the way, it may actually have been enough. I would love to think about a what if.
How much is a battalion?
Battalion, it's not that many. It's like 500 men. But to be honest, if he left the next day, went to the north, he could have made it in time for the battle. And 500 men, 20 Knights of the Body, and fucking Gorst is actually in the morale boost that they would get from seeing that their fucking prince come in. That's enough people to actually make a difference in this smaller scale war up north. I'm just saying, that'd be pretty cool. What if he makes it in time? That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So then he goes, that's nowhere near enough, at least what Orso says. And Giselle says that he agrees and that the rest he'll have to find himself. Show Giselle that you can raise 5,000 more, then you can rush to the rescue. And so then he goes, I bloody well will. And then he goes, defend yourself, your majesty. And he springs forward. He felt like, because he said he got all he'd get by losing. He felt like winning for once.
That is such a good inner line, and that also is that's his thing for this book. That's he gains his confidence over. That's his thing, and that's why at least for the first half until after Valbec in the next chapter, him and Savine's arc character work. This is a foreshadowing directly what they do for the majority of the book, which is really awesome.
Yeah. Yep. So that's the end of that chapter, boys. How do you rate it?
I'm going to give it an 8 out of 9. I think it is every single time Joe does these old characters, they just absolutely ooze with character. It is so satisfying to see these characters come back because you didn't think they would. You know how Joe is, Larry. He's not very fan servicey, but these are very fan servicey. And I think they're nice because they don't go out of character. And I don't mean fan servicing in a bad way because there's a time for it. But some people think that Joe never gives back. I've had friends who read the first law. They get a couple books and they're like, yeah, but he never gives, readers what they want. I'm like, what the fuck? Why does that matter? But at the end of the day, he actually does. This is super satisfying to see him as the king. And Giselle is just so well illustrated here. He's simultaneously the kind of spoiled brat that we knew with actual wisdom, he's imparting on an individual level. He's hopeless, in terms of being able to do something, but he hasn't given up yet. And even though he is Orso, don't worry about it, don't do anything, when he sees his son is genuinely wanting to do it, he not only goes, okay, I'll help you do it. He goes, I'm going to genuinely help you make it work I'll give you some men, but you're going to have to get a whole bunch more. And that is the most boss man father move ever. I think it's so good. Giselle may not be the greatest king, but he's a pretty good dad.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
I'd say so. I agree with that.
I'd say he would be a great dad if he did this like 10 years ago.
Orso wasn't ready.
Orso was a kid. He was 17.
Yeah. Actually, I
Well,
think
we'll get onto that later, but
Okay.
I do think that, could Giselle have been more? Sure. But I think that this chapter shows that, like,
He's not
he
an
could have been
absent father.
something. Yeah. He's not a
No.
piece of shit. And
they
he's a good-
definitely have a connection, don't they?
Yeah.
I especially love the interplay between the conversation and the fencing. I think that's it's very. I think this is one of the best interplays between conversation and action that Joe has ever written. Actually, I think this is a very good example of the way that he writes, in the way that the action like affects the way that people feel, and therefore the way that people talk. And I feel like this kind of like emanates throughout this trilogy, especially. It's not so much in the last trilogy or in the standalones, but he's really found his voice here, where there's a lot of subtext, but in the action.
Yeah.
And I think that carries on later, and we will get onto that later. But I'm going to go with you as well, Harrison. I'm going to just go a little bit lower. I'm going to give 7 and knuckle.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7 as well. I'll go with George on this. I really enjoyed this chapter. It's a good chapter. Love like you were talking about the interplay between the fencing and the actual conversation at play. But really, what like I really like to see here is like you're seeing the kernels of character growth here with Orso, and you're seeing Joe's doing a really good job of like highlighting that as morose and as meandering depression can have one be, there is still that search for something greater, and like that desire to latch on to almost anything that can kind of give meaning to you, as opposed to you finding meaning within yourself. But this is Orso's like path to that, and I like you see the excitement that he's getting here, and like that purpose he's kind of cultivating for himself with this. So I really enjoyed it. I think it's 7 out of 9 fingers for me for this one.
Well said, Jeff.
Thank you. So we'll move on to our final segment, which is our character spot. Boys, who are we highlighting today?
So there's going to be a couple. I think every single character spot for the Age of Madness is going to be 1 or 2 or 3 characters, because there's just too many to cover. There are far more side characters in the Age of Madness than there are in the original trilogy or in the standalones combined. So
Well, pretty early on, though, George.
we are pretty early on, but also there's a lot of history to cover as well. So Kernsbeck is our character spot for now. And like I said earlier, Kernsbeck is probably just, he's this great inventor. He's also a great adventurer, unlike the person that he's based on, which is probably James Watt, who invented or perfected the steam engine that pushed forward the Industrial Revolution. What do you guys have to say about Kernsbeck?
Well, yeah, you have like a lot of negative things, obviously.
I like Kernsbeck. I like him as a character, but I also, like you said, he is very like caught up in his own genius. And I feel like a lot of people are like this, where if somebody is very, very, very intelligent, they can't understand why somebody else isn't.
Yeah.
So he is very industrious, and he can invent, and he can pull himself out of any situation. I think we learn later that he, was born poor. He came over from Kirkle as a refugee.
He did.
And he, pulled himself by his figurative bootstraps.
Wait, isn't Kernsbeck described as...
Kernsbeck is described, later he's like detained in the Great Change, and he's like, oh yeah, he's from Kirkle.
Wow, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
I don't know why.
I was going to say, you made me doubt myself there, Jeff. But yeah, so like this person is somebody that can do things, but at the same time, he puts down other people. Like in this line in Savine's chapter here, especially, where it's like, only the lazy need be poor. And I feel like that is one of the worst things that is wrong with our modern society, is that that isn't true, but it is treated like it is true.
Right.
Yeah. What do you guys think of that?
I think Kernsbick gets so caught up in the enthusiasm that he has for his projects and for the potential effects that they can have on society and the world, that his the imagination outpaces reality for him. And like you said about that line about only the lazy need be poor and things of that nature, because to him, someone like him, it's always about what's the next frontier.
Yeah.
We'll reach the next frontier, and it can only be great for us.
Exactly. But it's just
Right,
like,
that's
a lottery winner says that the best thing that you can do is buy lottery tickets. Because they won the lottery, so that's from their perspective. That's the best thing you can do.
I've read plenty of people that lottery winners. They say that winning the lottery is like the worst thing that could have happened to them. Such an immediate windfall of money that they didn't know what to do with it.
Sure.
And obviously, like a bunch of other stuff. Yeah.
But it's the same sort of thing, Like it's any business plan only lasts as long as the market lasts for. So people have to get lucky. It's always about luck and about market timing, and there isn't really any
need
skill to that.
It's matching up the timing, the luck, and the need.
With the need as well. So
the need is what?
The need is luck as well.
Maybe, but sometimes it's just it comes from other prior business ventures. Maybe there's some kind of like not say trickle down effect, but just ramifications. But Harrison, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I really like what you said, Jeff. That he, like everything is just a new adventure to him, and how could it go wrong? Think about it. If he was a refugee from Gurkle as a young boy, before everybody was doing it, and Gurkish were more accepted, which because he's older, he came over, he learned the language, he started doing things, he did a business. Him and Mahood went across the Great Plains. He became really rich, really renowned. Like every single thing he's done has led to success. So of course, the narrative of his life has been reinforced over and over and over again. In his mind, he's overcome a lot. So if he can do it, like you guys said, I think it's a great point. Anybody can. But I do want to notate something very, very distinct about Kernsbick that I don't want people to forget. Because Kernsbick may have this flaw of being like a boomer and being an industrialist and having obviously things that everyone just pulls up by the bootstraps. It's obviously way too idealistic. He's like a designer who is forgetting that he's been an engineer, But despite that, though, he is a kind man. He does care for individuals. He does genuinely want what's best for the world. He does try really hard to make that happen. He's very generous. If you forget, in the Red Country, he took care of Pitt and Roe, and he probably would have fucking raised those kids because they asked him to, if they hadn't came back and got them.
On a personal level, those things do very good things for, the people that just like social circle. But when you have such power to the point where you invent a fucking time breaking, you invent something. You invent something for the society to the point where everybody's poor now, and you're like, oh no, but they're just lazy. Even if it is from a point of personal, I brought myself because I wasn't lazy and therefore I did well. It doesn't mean that that's the same for everybody, and that blindness and that naivety is dangerous.
It is, but except for the fact that this is the first time anybody's done this in this world. We have the history. We have the thing of hindsight. We're not the inventor.
That's only because it's fiction. Right, it's only because it's fiction, and this, I was saying this before.
James Watts, right?
You got James Watts. You got Abercrombie de Brunel. You got all these fucking inventors that came across over about 100 years that did the Industrial Revolution, basically not on their own, but had the ideas and pushed these things forward. And they were probably like this as well. This is my point. This is the.
I agree.
This is what our modern civilization is built on, is that people do feel this way, even though it isn't necessarily true. And I do feel like having a general opinion that if you're poor, you must be lazy it's a bad thing. And I do feel like I have to give him negative marks for that. I'm sorry. I know I love him. I think he's a brilliant guy. And I love the fact that he comes out of nowhere in Red Country when Mahood has been shit talking him the whole time. Oh, my partner Kunsberg is he's such a penny pincher. He's such a Scrooge. And then he comes up and he's like giving money out. And he's such a nice guy. I love that.
Okay, and I just want to jump in here real quick because I knew I wasn't crazy, but I was like holding my tongue. He's not Gurkish. First of all, if you remember how he's described in Red Country, orange sideburns, dude's a redhead. He's not from Gurkle. Second, if you look at the wiki, he is from Keln.
Wait, who are we thinking of, George?
You're thinking of Mahood, who's from Gurkish.
No.
He is from Gurkle, yes, but there's other.
But not Kernsbeck. That boy's a pasty ginger. Mm-mm.
I might be wrong about that. I might be wrong about that. That's to be fair.
If anything, he's closer to.
But he's not a Dan. That's why he's
not
like
a Dan. No, he's
class kind of person. That is my bad. I am.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm just trying.
I was pretty sure too, George. To be honest, but
why am I blanking on?
No,
this?
I'm sure he came from somewhere. I know it says on there.
He came from.
It does say on the wiki, but the wiki is like updated like 6 years ago, so I don't know.
True.
Okay. But yeah, so Kernsberg, I mean, it's interesting how, like, I know we talked about, his jovial character and everything. And it's interesting how a somewhat minor character in Red Country, his character has such a profound effect.
I think JoJo has a very good habit of doing that, of bringing back characters. I mean, we've seen it with Shivers, Vatari, all sorts of characters that come back and have a much greater effect than they did when they were first introduced, which I feel like a lot of authors struggle with. Yeah. A lot of authors bring back characters either to just be killed or to just be the villain, which is very easy. Mm-hmm. Whereas Joe brings back characters and actually makes you feel for them in a very complicated way.
Yeah.
Like Kernsbeck.
Like Kernsbeck. Yeah, exactly. Like Kernsbeck. He's pushing the future forward. He's making everything better for everybody ostensibly, but also he's a little bit of a bigot.
I don't know about bigot, but okay.
Well, a bigot is just somebody that thinks they're better than somebody. I'm not lazy, and they are.
That's not bigot. That's like elitist. That's elitist. Yeah. No, it's not. It's different. That's not bigot.
An elitist is a type of bigot.
Oh my God, George!
Look up the definition.
He's not a bigot. He's not a bigot. You can Webster all you want. He's not a bigot.
No, I think you just no, actually, I'm being a bigot right now.
Yeah, you're being a bigot.
A person ostensibly intolerantly devoted to their own opinions, prejudices, particularly concerning race, religion, sexual orientation, or politics.
And that's not what Kernsbeck is. He's just saying,
I agree.
That falls under politics, but okay.
No, because Kernsbeck is literally saying only the lazy can be poor. But again, we know how he is. He's not thinking this like a nefarious, kind of a point of view. He's coming at it as like, if you're just industrious enough, you can be rich too. That's different. That's different than being like.
I agree.
I think there's a Venn diagram. There's an overlap here, but not a huge amount.
I think you are such a. You hate the aristocracy so much, George, or you hate,
maybe it's because I'm British,
Yeah, maybe it's because of that. You guys in your union organizing way.
Fuck the king.
Oh, good
George,
Lord.
I think that when you read that and you heard that, like, it just fucking pissed you off so much that you were like, fuck this motherfucker. He thinks he's better than me. And it just fucking pissed you off because he's because of the line itself.
Yeah, maybe that's.
But I think that's
understandable.
I think it's intended. There's no other reason to put a line like that in there than to do that.
Right.
There's no reason to say, only lazy people can be poor.
I get what you're saying. I get
inspired.
It's in his character.
I get what you're saying, and I think that's what's really good about Joe doing it. But is that Joe gave that line to not your Jeff Bezos kind of character that we have here.
Yes.
What he did
Oh,
is
no.
he gave it to an inventing, industrious rich guy, whatever. But we know he has a good heart, and yet he still says something like that. I think that's where it's very good that Joe gave that line to Kernsbeck.
Of course.
So if you could just tone down your hatred of the man.
No, I will.
With orange sideburns.
I will always.
Actually, guys, I'm coming at this from the wrong angle. What am I thinking? Yeah, you know what? He kind of reminds me of Forley, the fucking pussy.
Oh my God, that's it. We're
You're
banning.
right, George. This
banning.
one character attribute is going to define him for the rest of his life.
How dare you?
I'm banning.
Inflate
banning
my
him.
argument with your. That's terrible. That's awful.
with your bigotry
I'm
against
straw
Foley.
manning.
Forley did nothing wrong. Hashtag Forley did nothing wrong.
Hashtag Kernsbeck.
Hashtag Forley the
nothing
bravest.
wrong.
Forley the bravest, you cunt. Add your cunt in
Forley
the
the
hashtag.
bravest. I like that. I never heard that.
Forley the bravest, you cunt. In all one hashtag.
All right, you put that up on Twitter and see how long we get banned from that as well.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that. All right. Well, then that's the end of that segment. That's the end of that episode. Thank you, everybody. All right. That's our show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. As you know, this is a passion project for the three of us, and your support means oh so much.
Join us next week as we cover Fencing with Father and Promises.
And make sure you follow us on all of our social media or shoot us an email at circleoftheworldpodcast@gmail.com.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts from. And please make sure to rate and review this podcast. Thank you all again for listening.
Life in the old dog, yes, eh?